Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai da dai, yai lai da dai dai, yana dai dai. Yai lai 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 da dai, yai lai 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 lai, yana lai lai. Yai lai 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 da dai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 da dai, yai lai 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 yana lai lai, yai lai 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 yai lai da dai, yai lai ya dai dai yana lai lai, yai lai 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 yai lai da dai, yai lai ya lai lai yana lai lai, yai lai 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 dai da dai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 yai lai da dai, yai lai da dai dai yai da dai dai. We welcome in the angels that greet us on Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, page 24, if you'd like to follow in the Siddur. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
And it's wonderful to see everyone. It's been a very exciting week here at PTBE as last night the congregation elected Rabbi Lisa to become the next senior rabbi of the congregation. And she is just amazing. And I can say that having seen a lot of rabbis traveling the country as an interim rabbi. And it was a wonderful and moving evening. It is interesting traveling the country. You know, people sort of interact in different ways. Like when I'm in Connecticut, people are very reserved in Connecticut. So they wouldn't go into the sanctuary. They'd say outside because, for a very long time, they'd say, please come in. In the South, when I was in Savannah, Georgia, the main service was Saturday morning. And every week after services, we had a sit-down Kiddush lunch prepared by the temple chef. And it was hospitality to the nth degree.
That's a nice idea. Temple chef?
Yeah, seriously.
He
used to be a resort chef. And it was a lot of fun. And But I always love forming community. And so what I'm going to ask you to do, we have a lot of guests and want to say Mazel Tov to Olivia, becoming Bar Mitzvah this week, and family from New York, different parts of New York and New Jersey, not to leave out New Jersey, and Seattle, and folks in the congregation and new people in the congregation. So when you hear Cantor Alana sing again, that's when we'll come back. But I'd like to invite you to find two people, one person you know and one you don't. Please move around the room and introduce yourself. Wish one another a Shabbat Shalom. As Joan Rivers used to say, talk amongst yourselves. Yes, you are going to get up and move around. And I know who knows who, so I am watching. The woman sitting next to Kay is considering conversion.
Oh, cool. Yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da yada da yada da ya la da ya la da da la la yada la yada la yada da yada da yada da ya la da ya la da.
We continue with the candle blessing, which can be followed on page 2. And I'd like to invite Olivia, Kat, Lily, Karen, Lauren, and Sari, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, to come to light the candles.
And Emma. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our live, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lecha hadlik ner Shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. Mazel tov, everyone. To welcome Shabbat, we continue with this poem called An Amazing Life. This is an amazing life. A gift of moments precious and dear, profound in joy, profound in sorrow.
This is an amazing life, a gift of moments, glorious and holy, rich in laughter, rich with tears.
This is an amazing life, a gift, a song, a fantastic story of solitude and adventure. Psalms of frailty and endurance, a poem written in time and motion, in stillness and silence, in shouts and whispers, in mourning and wondrous celebration.
This is an amazing life, a river of blessings, a gift to cherish. In awe and wonder, blessed are the gifts of life. Blessed is the giver of life, and blessed is this amazing life. We continue with L'cha Dodi on page 20. We will sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. We rise for the last verse, face our sanctuary doors as we greet the Shabbat bride. L'cha Dodi litkrat kalai alalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi litkrat kalai alalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad hishmiyanu el hamiyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shemu tiferet ve'litchila. L'cha Dodi litkrat kalai alalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi litkrat kalai alalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'mashavat chila. L'cha Dodi litkrat kalai alalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi litkrat kalai alalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri ki va'orech kumi ori uri shir dabri kevod Adonai halayich nigra. L'cha Dodi litkrat kalai alalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi litkrat kalai alalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam v'simcha uv'tzola toch emunei am segula. Boi chala L'cha Dodi litkrat kalai alalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi litkrat kalai alalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela.
We continue on page 28. Our prayer is Baruch Hu, which means let us bless. It opens the main part of the service with call and response, feeling the blessings of the divine in our lives.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai la Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Our next prayers. Give thanks for the wonders of the world. I felt it today instead of my normal route back and forth to the temple, appreciating the wonder of Whole Foods. I was out on Route 280, which is running through the hills and the beautiful greenery and looking out on the bay and seeing the water. And it's amazing, just a few minutes from here, just a place and seeing those hills, it takes the breath away. I offer a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but we need them. Through prayer, we sense our inner strength, our inner purpose, our inner joy, our capacity to love. In prayer, we reach upward. We sense the qualities of the Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illuminate all of us and to bring that vision to life. And with that vision, we feel the oneness, the Shema that reminds us of God's oneness in the world.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue with V'ahavta on 36.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם amen.
We think of crossing the waters, crossing to freedom. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav was one of the great early Hasidic rabbis. It's sort of Chabad was over here, the intellectual, everybody in the middle. And Rabbi Nachman was the creative. He was Northern California. And just offered incredible, beautiful prayers, just speaking from within to the divine and thinking of our movement to freedom. These are Rabbi Nachman's words. Eternal God of peace, divine ruler to whom peace belongs, sovereign of peace, creator of all things, may it be your will to put an end to war and bloodshed on earth and to spread a great and wonderful peace over the whole world, so that nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Help us, save us all, and let us cling tightly to the virtue of peace. Let there be a truly great peace between every person and their neighbor, between spouses, and let there be no discord between people, even in their hearts. Let us never shame any person on earth, great or small. May it be granted unto us to fulfill your commandment to love thy neighbor as thyself. God, who is peace, bless us with peace.
We are walking, we are walking, we are walking in the light of God. We are walking, we are walking, we are walking in the light of God. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedara b'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedara b'kodesh. Nohora tekilodo seifele. Nohora tekilodo seifele. We are walking in the light of God. 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 We are walking, we are walking, we are walking in the light of God. We are walking, we are walking, we are walking in the light of God.
Page 42, Hashkivenu. In the light of God, feeling the shelter of God's canopy of peace.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, b'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Lechayim. Lechayim.
Muscle memory. We all have it. And can be as simple as always hitting the same place on your cell phone when you want to find a browser, even though they changed the browser and I don't like it anymore. In yoga, standing, feet together, arms outstretched like this. For my yoga teacher, it's a posture of balance. And for the tefillah, the prayer which we're about to begin, the personal prayer which is done 3 times a day. Take 3 steps backward and 3 steps forward. Stand with feet together. And for me, the muscle memory is all of the communities, all of the minyanim, where we've shared the prayer together and being able to open the heart to the divine. We'll do the first 3 prayers together and then continue silently. And when you're ready, you can be seated. Page 46.
Adonai tzvatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai tzvatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Oh, eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Oh, eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Chanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imachot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'nechem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai mechayeh hakol atah, Rav lechoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid chaga Hashem, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, umekahayim emunato, lishenei afar. Micha mocha bal gevurot, umido melach, melech meimit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, mechaye hakol. Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there. I am but a voice, just a cry in the air, but I sing nonetheless, in this pain we share. Oh, sweet friends, come and dry your eyes and hold each other by this tree of life. I'm angry and tired of this great divide, but I sing nonetheless with love on our side. Oh, sweet souls who feel broken now, we'll heal together somewhere, somehow. Time and again we have been let down, but we sing nonetheless, still whole and still proud.
As I walk through the congregation, if you have a dear one or dear ones for whom you're praying for healing, please stand and I'll come and you can share the names.
we also hold these members of our community in our prayers. Bill Slippin, Stephanie Levitt, Marilyn Greenwald, Marcia Margolin, Francie Karp, Leah Bat Gedalia Bat Fega, Tamara Grelick, Evan Bin, Lynette Linger, Larry Margolis, Carolyn Oren, Susanna Larios, Robert Cohen, Ronald Winchell, Mia Goldstein, Ken Brenner, Gary Verbin, Lynn Phillips, Larry Gurman, Rebecca Frazier, Sherry Berenstein, Bob Guisti, Maxine Brogo, Gail Prince, Pari Meskin, Steve Tolkien, Morton Prager, Doug McCracken, Mariah Guthrie, Kurt Meyer, Linda Silverio, David Habib, Anna Tran, Linnell Bin, Jane Barker Haugen, Sigal Olga Bat Baruch, Larissa Elkin, Carol Starr, Marion Frazier, Jeremy Kermit, Lev Heschel Ben Bat Ami, Suzanne Price, Gary Nelson, Gal Ori Steinitz, Romney Ben Harav Mordechai Halevi, Grady Scher, Carney Friedman and family, and Miriam Suslow. Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there.
So I guess it was a little over 40 years ago, I had my interview to get into Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion. No, they didn't nail any of the windows shut and ask me to open them. No, they didn't, after I walked in and the door was shut, say, "Did you shut the door?" But it was a scary time. And so I thought of different questions they might ask, and one of the members of the committee said, "Who's your hero?" And I said, "Well, I don't really have a hero." The professor was a little more insistent. "Who's your hero?" I said, "Well, I guess it would have to be a hobbit." Now, this was before The Lord of the Rings came out as a movie. And he said, "What's a hobbit?" And I said, "Oh, they're from Lord of the Rings, and I really like them because I identify them with them. They're kind of short, and they sort of have hair on their feet, and they like to eat a lot of meals during the day and take naps." I did get into HUC, regardless of that answer. But our Torah portion this week is bringing to a close the stories of Joseph and that narrative. And often in this Torah portion called Vayigash, we go skip over the beginning of it and go right to the exciting moment when Joseph is reunited with his brothers. But we miss often this incredible moment of heroism. Now, characters in the Torah are often flawed. They may do great things, but they often do things that are not as great. But this is an incredible moment. Judah, the fourth of the brothers to be born, didn't like Joseph when he was growing up. He was the one that said, and was like, "Well, let's sell him maybe." But now, 17 years later, Benjamin, the youngest in the family, his life was in the balance. Joseph had tricked his brothers. They'd come down to buy grain. There were sacks full of grain. He said to his steward, "Put their money back in the sack and put my silver goblet in the sack of the youngest." The next morning, as they left, the steward chased after them and said, "One of you has stolen the silver goblet." The brothers were panicking, and they said, "We'll be your servants, and you can take the life of whoever took the goblet." The sacks were open, and they found the silver goblet in Benjamin's sack. Benjamin, who was Joseph's brother by the same mother, by Rachel. And at that moment, Judah launches into this incredible plea. It's like one of the longest soliloquies in the Torah. He talks about his family. He talks about a lost brother. He talks about the heartbreak of his father. And he pleads for the life of Benjamin. Right after this, the Torah then said, Joseph could no longer contain himself, and he burst into tears. That was a heroic moment. And let me give you the overall picture of the Torah's kind of underlying story. The great hero in Judaism is King David. The Messiah comes from the line of King David. And the line of King David traces all the way back to Judah. It's like our stories about George Washington, the founding of the country. That this line, which will be a line of leadership for the Jewish people, begins with Judah and a demonstrated act of heroism, standing up to the advisor of the Pharaoh. Now, what I'd like to do this evening, I'm going to try this a few times this year. It's what I call improv devar Torah. And here is the way it works. I've shared with you a story of heroism. And in a moment, I'm going to come through the congregation, and I'm going to ask, does anybody have a hero? I claim the Hobbit, or a heroic moment. Now, let me give you a little bit of prompting for this. When I did Torah study in New York, where I was for 18 years, one of the absolute greatest moments, we had 3 seventh graders that came to Torah study every week. And one of the people in the class who was didn't believe in God at all said, we were talking about Sodom and Gomorrah, it was terrible. It was like the bombings in World War II, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We had 2 guys that were each 75. They always disagreed with each other. But here, Jimmy, who had converted to Judaism, he says, I was a Marine getting ready to invade Japan. I thought it was right. And Arthur, his intellectual nemesis, says, I was in the army in Europe. And I think the bombings were correct. What was amazing to me is that these 7th graders were living and hearing the stories of history. And so I'm going to give you that opportunity tonight. I will tell you that we may do this a little later on. Last year in Pittsburgh, Saturday morning, we would ask sort of fun, goofy questions. We'll do a goofy question next time. Got some great ones. A moment of heroism that you can think of. Raise your hand. I'll come around.
Okay, when I was 17, I was heading to my nifty teen tour in Israel, and I went with a friend and her family. We drove from Syracuse to New York City to catch the plane from there. And my mom had been reminding me all week, did you remember, make sure to pack your traveler's checks and your ticket and your passport. And I'd be like, yes, Mom, I got them. And when we got up in the morning after spending the night in another town on the way, a little while later, I realized that I had my traveler's checks and I had my ticket, but I had left my passport in my drawer because I was so busy being defiant that I hadn't actually packed it. So my mom somehow managed to get the ticket, and the flight was that day, so it was in a few hours later. And I met this guy on that trip, by the way. But my mom managed to get the passport to the next pilot leaving Syracuse to JFK. And then my friend's mom ran through the airport to get it, and I got my passport about 45 minutes before we boarded the plane. And she was my hero, even though I couldn't quite tell her for a long time because I was so mortified.
Thank you. Thank you. Remember, I've done 8-day silent meditation retreats. I can be quiet longer than anybody. One more. It doesn't have to be a personal, somebody, a great figure from contemporary political life. Okay.
You know, we have a lot of different heroes in our life, personal hero, family hero, and political hero. I'm going to choose who's my Torah Bible favorite hero. I think it's Abraham. That's one of my heroes of the Torah. For number one, he talked to God and said, Modani, I'm here. And God said, go, and he went. He didn't know where he's going. He trusted God at that time. And then later on, he had the courage to negotiate with God for the life of other people that God was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And you need to be a hero to be able to do such an act, especially when you're dealing with God.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe we'll try something easier next week. You know, I always think of Senator John McCain before I come to the last hero that I'm going to share with you. And, during that very, very contested, hot election, somebody challenged the patriotism of Barack Obama. And Senator McCain challenged that person and said that we may disagree, but he is a patriot too. That, to me, is heroism. So, I want to share with you a very powerful moment. This came from April 4th, 1968. Senator Robert Kennedy was in Indianapolis, and he had learned of the death of Dr. Martin Luther King. And he was speaking to the Black community. And these were his words at that moment. What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence or lawlessness, but love and wisdom and compassion towards one another, and a feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country. Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and to justice for fellow human beings and died because of that effort. In this difficult day, this difficult time for the United States, it's perhaps well to ask what kind of a nation we are and what direction we want to move in. For those of you who are Black, considering the evidence there evidently is there, we're white people who are responsible. You can be filled with bitterness, with hatred, and a desire for revenge. We can move in that direction as a country, in great polarization. Black people amongst Black, white people amongst white, filled with hatred towards one another. Or we can make an effort, as Martin Luther King did, to understand and to comprehend and replace that violence, that stain of bloodshed that is spread across our land, with an effort to understand with compassion and love. My favorite poet was Aeschylus. He wrote, "In our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, and our own despair against our will comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence or lawlessness, but love and wisdom and compassion towards one another. A feeling of justice towards those who still suffer within our country. At a moment like that, with his family experience, to be able to utter those words, that to me is a heroic moment. Oseh shalom b'ramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who sends peace to the high heavens send peace to us, to all humanity. Amen. Announcements. I didn't see who was doing the announcements this evening. Oh, so we don't have any announcements this evening. We just are having a wonderful time at PTBE and look forward to a great time on Sunday with Rishonim and Hebrew, and just check the weekly news for all these great events. You want to make any announcements? Okay. We continue now with the Kaddish. The Kaddish can be found on page 294. If you are remembering a dear one who has passed away, please rise and we'll be reciting the names. On this Shabbat, we mark the Shloshim, the 30 days of mourning, for Estelle Markowitz, the mother of Frank Markowitz, Eloise Hotstein, the sister of Berta Sugarman. We recall the yard sites of Gerald Abraham, Ron Bagby, Elise Bardet, Harriet Blaustein, Sharon Blumberg, William Churin, Carolyn Koch, Sarah Davis, Philip Epstein, Bessie Folkman, Harry Friedman, Betsy Friedman, Jacob Feuerstein, Elizabeth Fisher, Charlotte Gervitz, Joel Girgus, Ellie Grossman, Martin Habis, Ellie Grossman, Ruth Kapkin, Ralph Leather, Samuel Lynette, Nathan Levitt, Alan Lippis, Ambrosia Marquez, Joyce Meltzer, Louis Plotkin, Robert Rudetsky, Saul Rossman, Louis Schomer, Catherine Schomer, Janet Schwimmer, Robert Shafton, Marcia Schwacken, Saul Spicer, Walter Slotowski, Hiram Spinrad, Ben Soslow, John Tapson, Roberta Unger, Louis Weisbach, Sylvia Udenfriend. Are there others who recall in yard site? Thank you. And are there corrections for names that I might have mispronounced? Please rise. At this moment, we recall all with no one to remember them. Those who have lost their lives because of COVID-19, disaster in the world, violence, and in the defense of freedom. We say, Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, b'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'vyamechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'zman kari v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam omei omaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitoleh v'yitolal shmei t'gudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiram b'alma v'yamru amen. Yeh shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to the bereaved. Amen. come on up for Kiddush and Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kadishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahav uvratzo yivilanu zikaron limaseh Reshit Ki hu yom tahila lamikra e kodesh zehayat mitzrayim hilanu hiharta v'tanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shavat kodsha v'ahava uvratza hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. Oh, it's great. She's cool. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lahem min aretz. Amen.
It's all for you.
Yay.
Leave it outside. We'll put it in here to take it all. Mazel tov. We look forward to celebrating with you tomorrow, Olivia. You can have a seat. We will conclude with a prayer for peace. Oh, say shalom, b'imromav. Oh, say shalom, b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu. Count it. Sing it. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Yeah. Have a great trip.
Thank you. Thank you.